Hey guys, welcome to What Would They Wield episode 2. And today, yeah, right. Don't do math.
They knew what I meant.
As long as they don't do math, don't add them. All right. I'm wearing a good shirt for this. I didn't even notice.
Yeah. That was a good choice.
So we're going to be doing our person for this week is Lando Calrissian. For those of you who are hopefully joining us for the first time. What we're doing with this series is we're taking people, characters who don't generally wield a melee weapon and arguing, as good friends do, somewhat logically, somewhat tyrannically, about what they would wield. And we're doing it for your entertainment. So welcome to it. So we're going to discuss Lando. Yeah. We have some questions here to help us along, but let's see what we got. So Lando Calrissian. You saw the movie the solo movie.
I did,
and I have not. So, who is Lando in that? What period of life is he in?
Well, because
tell us about young Lando.
And also in my slight research that I did. So, like, basically, personally, I mean, the short version I'm gonna go with is kind of space pirate turned politician. He started out as more of like a gambler. A scam artist, an entrepreneur, if you will, if you will, and then typical kind of smuggler.
Where'd you get that? It fell off a truck.
Yeah. Because I mean, he won his ship, the Millennium Falcon. We all
lovable mobster
know
type
that
of thing.
One. Yeah, kind of, but I wouldn't say in the aggressive power way, very much in the suave, more sophisticated kind of way. The one that double talks you into giving him something before you realize that you've given him something. So,
so like a fast talker, a swindler type of thing. Okay,
exactly.
All right.
And then obviously he moved up to becoming, at one point he had a seat on the council or something. I could be wrong, don't quote me on that, but like
he's a big wig in politics,
some kind of political leader on Bespin, as we know from the original movie,
right.
And then movie series, and then afterwards I guess also went on to become a captain of industry as far as like an arms company that he did. And became kind of like a head honcho of that. So after he did his stuff with the Rebel Alliance and all that. So yeah, he kind of across the board. Not very, and this might lead into the next question as to representation.
Yeah.
But he's very much what I would consider to be kind of an anti-hero at first, because he's very much in his own interest, in his self-interest.
It may be good, it may be bad, but it's going to further hit what he's doing.
But it's going to benefit me.
Right.
I mean,
okay.
and we see that in the concept of smugglers are always a little bit, and in it for themselves. And then when you talk about the fact that he made a deal with the Empire to sell out, his friends essentially.
With that he argues that he didn't have a choice.
I mean, you could argue that a little bit.
I'm just saying he does. He's like, I didn't have a choice. What was I supposed to do?
I feel like that's a solid argument after your deal doesn't work out. Like once Darth Vader directly involves himself, like, yeah, what are you going to do? But I feel like the original setup was going to benefit him, and then didn't. You got double crossed, and then he decided.
You got a dark view on how that went down.
I do, because
I'm still in the childhood innocence of, oh no, he was forced into a deal, and then the deal was switched on him, and he he got the short end of the stick twice. You're like, no, he was in it, and then he got shafted and joined the good side.
Well, because I didn't read the entire situation, but I did read that it was like he made a deal, and then basically Darth Vader kind of kept changing the terms to the point that Lando was not okay with it, and then decided to do something. But that was maybe a biased information grab. But
hope I do not change it further.
Yeah, but either way, he ends up becoming a good guy. So,
right.
I think it's the concept of like things are. You can only push people so far, even self-interested people before they realize where, the line between.
He represents the idea of the shiny side of the criminal underground. The lovable criminal is who he is.
Yes, very much.
The lovable player.
Yeah, the one that you're like, you got me, but I kind of still like you. That kind of character. So
okay, so Lando. Here's the thing. We're getting into the physical aspects. We got to decide what they can wield and what they can't. So Lando, he's an average guy is what I'm going to argue. I will admit I kept confusing the actor with the guy who plays Apollo Creed and the guy who's Schwarzenegger's friend in Terminator. You know that famous Terminator in Predator. That famous biceps. I'm thinking it's him, and then I'm just like, oh wait. That's Billy. That's not Billy D. Williams.
Yeah.
I do know who it is. My brain kept switching faces.
Yeah.
It's the mustache. Like they both have one, and I'm just like, mustache, the short fro type hair.
Yeah. And that other guy has also entered the Star Wars universe at this point.
Yeah, I know. He's in Book of Boba Fett and the end of. I know he's in the season 2 of Mandalorian.
He's in it from the very beginning of Mandalorian. He's one of the first.
One
of the first characters.
It's been a while. Yes, he has, but so but no. So now, putting that guy's rocking body out of our heads, Lando is, Lando is an average-looking dude.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's going to wield a giant battle axe. That doesn't seem like, or I don't see him wielding a Hercules club either.
No, it's very nuanced. He's a talker. He's not necessarily a fighter. I mean, not afraid to get his hands dirty, I think, but very much not like a brute force.
If he's going to get his hands dirty, he's not going in there like a juggernaut.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So that knocks out things like almost any two-handed heavy weapon, two-handed axes, maces, Morning Star, stuff like that. That's just.
Yeah. I also think bludgeoning weapons aren't a fit in this case.
Well, it depends on what you mean by bludgeoning. Because I do have an argument for bludgeoning.
We can go. We can.
We're already starting to differ. Look at that.
I wouldn't say bludgeoning because I also think of bludgeoning more as brute force weapons. So that require a little bit more muscle to get the actual
I have a bludgeoning. What we consider if we were in D&D, the weapon that's in my head right now will be considered bludgeoning damage, but it's still finesse.
What is?
I'm not telling you yet. We're not. We have to do the thingy.
Okay. All right. So
I'm not getting ahead of myself, especially because if we go through these questions and it doesn't work, I don't look like an idiot.
I mean, quite frankly, though, as we talked about, personality-wise. If we're staying like in the
that is the next question is like his personality.
What would he? What would they choose?
What fits him?
I mean, I always see him more of in that universe like more of a blaster, more of a quick draw kind of thing.
He's someone who wants something reliable, and he's not going to be training with it though. So he's weird because it's a subtle finesse weapon. He's not going to be he's not a big bruiser, which are the weapons that we generally think of as non-training weapons. It's just the fact that the size does it. But at the same time, he's someone who is if he's going to fight melee, he's going to fight because he has to, not because that's his choice.
Yeah, I definitely see
he's not training that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, more as a sophisticated kind of guy who still doesn't want to get the blood on his nice clothes. You know, that's what I interpret him as. Is if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it from a bit of a distance.
And I think also because he doesn't my opinion, his personality would be same as Han Solo when it comes to lightsabers. Well, just trust a good blaster by your side, nothing like that. And therefore, he's not going to have martial weapons of any kind because I just can't see Lando in there training with a bow staff. I can't do it.
No, it just doesn't. I mean, he just seems more like I said, we're talking about wheels and deals. We're not talking about
and even when it comes to a knife, he's not going to be doing some fancy karambit stuff. He's gonna be quick and to the point. It's got to take that martial aspect is not part of Lando. Yeah. So before we make our arguments, we got on what do we think Lando would choose? I don't think he would choose if it was as a character. I think Lando would grab the most sturdy thing he could fit in one hand or pointy thing he could fit in one hand and use that. Like, I don't think he would ever prepare himself, and this is to his detriment, I think. I don't think he'd prepare himself with a knife. I don't think he'd ever take one. I don't think he'd have anything melee-wise on the ready. So I think if the character was in a situation where he had to fight melee, it'd be a found weapon. It wouldn't be something he would actually choose. I don't think he'd ever choose one.
I mean, if we're talking about like melee specifically, I personally, there are two things I can maybe see him choosing. I agree he might not ever go to them, but either some kind of like stun baton, because we know, especially in the Star Wars universe, many of those exist to kind of combat the concept of the lightsaber or whatever, which isn't as prevalent during his time. But either that or one of my other favorite characters from the Star Wars universe, Cad Bane, has a like electric shock glove. And it's just
that's one that he can, and we could count that as melee as long as it's not a distance weapon. Yeah.
So I would say maybe if he was going to choose one of those, like those would be maybe the two options I could see him going with.
I will say this: let's say he's escaping somewhere and he just finds something along the way. If he had the choice between we'll go with Star Wars universe, a vibro blade, a baton, or a shot glove, I definitely see him using the shot glove. Yeah. Because Lando is going to like the shiny. Like that's got some prestige to it. Just
well, and also just something that you can easily kind of on the slide, kind of reach out and touch somebody.
Easy, useful, and reliable. Yeah. Which is what he's going to value. So now it comes down to the argument.
I'll let you go first.
No. I've been talking too much
first because I'm changing the story up again a little bit.
See, I've got two, so I'll give you one first, then you give me yours, and then I'll go again. So the first thing that comes to mind, like it kind of is like I guess it goes to that gangster idea, and the gangster from the 40s, type, gangster from the 20s type of thing, which they're one of the reasons that that this weapon is illegal in a lot of states. I could see Lando using brass knuckles just fine. I could see him being like, okay, all right, I can box a little bit, and this goes right into what I'm already doing. I can punch somebody, and this works fine. I see that fitting Lando real well because Lando's going to be going for what he can rely on, what he can... That's exactly it. What he can rely on and what's going to be sturdy with the least amount of variables, and that's one.
And you can slip it. You can slip it on, slip it in your hand.
Just quick. Keep it in your pocket. And
make a single punch if you had to.
Brass knuckles do make all the difference. I mean, you guys can go online and look up what they actually do to the body, but it's not pretty, it's not pleasant, and there's a reason why they're illegal. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still want them, but there's a reason why. All right, and that's my thing for a weapon for him at the moment.
So my weapon choices as to like kind of went along with what he.
Oh, but that's why I was saying bludgeoning weapon. That was in my head. It's a bludgeoning weapon.
Fair enough. I was thinking more like if we're talking one-handed, you know, I wouldn't see a bludgeoning weapon like that. But my original choices were the stuff earlier, but I think in a slightly different time.
So we have a new hypothetical version of the character?
Well, because I feel like a lot of characters in the Star Wars universe, although, they're introduced originally, the Jedi don't exist anymore. So there's not really anyone to, like, make Jedi. But a lot of these, there's arguments that are like Han Solo is Force sensitive. Obviously, Leia.
Leia is, especially if you go into what's not considered canon and considered legends in the books and all, she becomes a full-fledged Jedi.
Yeah, exactly.
She's the first to wield a yellow one, actually.
Yeah, so going along that line, I honestly saw my ideal matchup in my head is I feel like Lando would have been a good counterpart to Count Dooku.
Wielding a lightsaber?
Wielding a lightsaber. And but a rapier style lightsaber, because I think it fits his kind of higher class sense of self.
I get what you're talking about.
It's more finesse of a stylized weapon.
It's an elegant weapon that he could use and cut people up and not get bloodied.
Exactly. So, but also like as a defender, but also playing, because I think of going back to the concept of space pirate, and if I'm making another character comparison from a completely different, movie, I kind of see Lando as like Star Wars's Dread Pirate Roberts, if you will.
Okay, all right.
Where he's kind of cheeky, and he might have done some things in his past to like get himself a certain reputation, but he's kind of got this sense of justice of what's right and wrong. So I feel like, and if we were talking about that same concept, that classic look of like the pirate with the rapier, but I still think,
let's put it this
in all
way,
senses, he could have been a Jedi. So
let's put it this way: if you put a rapier in with Lando's costume and personality in his hand, I can see that working.
Yeah.
I completely don't see it in his personality at all.
I mean, that's fair. I don't think he would have survived being in the Jedi.
You're saying he would have been one of the younglings?
I don't think he would have made it. I don't think he has the discipline. But I mean, like, also look at people like Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan Kenobi was kind of cheeky himself.
But
even
okay, all right.
If you go with some of the canon, because you said you haven't watched the Clone Wars stuff.
I've seen some of it, but not all of it.
Okay, well, because some of the characters in there also, like, you were like, man, like, some of these people are a little bit either rigid or a little loose to be like...
Yeah, they're not what you'd expect.
They're always getting finger wagged for doing this or that. So I feel like he could have lasted a little bit,
that's fair.
But the concept of this almost noble-esque person like Dooku is very much a noble. To be going up against someone like Lando, who has still got the noble presence, but is also very...
And this is an idea that you sort of came about as we've been talking?
I mean, this is something I was thinking about. This is why I didn't go with the stun baton or the glove as my actual answer.
So here's some... now, I've already given my answer. I have a secondary answer, as I said, which honestly was a taser.
That's fair.
Like a this long, right next to you... A not just a stun baton, but so like, because it was funny that you were going with a baton and then like the glove. I'm just like, well, I was thinking of like a mini taser baton, just little and bzz. But I've actually come up with a hypothetical alternate Lando in my just now.
There you go.
Now, based upon who Lando is and his personality, right? He's been in the slums before. That's what I see Lando as. Is basically, I don't want to say a pimp, but a mob boss who got out a while ago after he got real power, and he's now clean. But he has his past, can go to this dark place. Has seen the dirt, doesn't like it, and sees it as a sign of prestige. Why he doesn't do it. But it's not gonna be any problem if he had to go back. So let's say the Empire won. Yeah. And the rebellion has to, go into hiding again. If he ended up on somewhere like Dagobah or something like that, I see him wielding a spear. And here's the reason why. Because Lando likes reliability, right? And so he's gonna take a piece of metal if he's got to be hiding and whatnot. And it's called a "get the hell away from me" stick, whereas the sharp end's over there. And spears are efficient. They work well without training. And Lando is the type who's going to, I'm going to use this to get you away, and then I'm going to survive another day. You know what I mean? As opposed to getting up close and personal.
That's fair.
But my official answer is still brass knuckles.
Yeah, I guess my official answer would have been the baton and the glove, but my ideal answer is giving him that...
That is a cool thought.
That rapier, or like almost a rapier of any kind, because I feel like it's still a weapon style that like more higher class, senatorial level people might still play with.
So we gave our official answers, but let's ask one more question. If he was to wield a lightsaber, what would he wield? And I actually have what would it be? And I actually have an idea to add to that. So the most rapier-like type of thing.
Yeah.
Well, you know how when we work with single sword foils or epées, how they have that curved handle?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like the Dooku. So you'd have the Dooku handle, but I see him wielding a shorter version, like only going to like there.
That's fair.
I see it being going off of that idea of subtlety, that idea of
I don't think he'd have the curve handle. I gave him like literally like a cup guard.
Oh,
like a very, very nice stylized cup guard on top of it.
That could work too. I'm just thinking that, I mean, that allows for the wrist play. Is all I'm thinking. But that we're getting too martial into it.
Yeah, we're getting well. It's all a pipe dream anyway. But I don't. Yeah, I just wanted to see I honestly just want to see those two characters. I think they'd be a very good matchup. But
if we have animators who ever see this, animate that. We'd like to see that. But I suppose that's it for this week. If you think we're wrong, please let us know. Please share this with people, and most importantly, at this point, of course, like and all that. But say something in the comments. It really does help the algorithm a lot. And we'll see you next week.
See you later.